Hey, Foot Clan. Before we get started today on the breakouts, if you want all of our breakouts, all of our busts, all of our sleepers, and Matt Harmon's reception perception and the rankings with projections and tiers, everything you need to absolutely crush your draft coming up this weekend, go to ultimatedraftkit.com and get the Ultimate Draft Kit to make sure you get your hashtag Foot Clan title this year.
This is Hall of Famer Marshall Faulk, and you're listening to the Fantasy Footballers.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the Play Draft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
We're on the road.
Road trip!
Coming to you live from the Marriott. Sort of. Hey, welcome in.
Oh, my goodness.
If you're watching the video, you notice we are at the remote Play Draft Studios. We are not at our home Play Draft Studios because we are in Anaheim, California. We are coming to you from Podcast Movement because we do not take a break. You get the fantasy football news and information you need.
We've been sitting in our hotel room just scouring fantasy data, making sure that we are as prepped as possible. We're not even down at the Podcast Movement. Everyone's like, where's the ballers?
We are recording this episode first. It's a breakout episode. I'm very excited about it. But I'm going to give you a little peek into our lives for a moment because something ridiculous happened on this trip. Now, it's become a necessity. Jason, let's just be honest with the listeners here. Jason snores.
I have never once heard myself snore.
No, because you're always asleep while you do it.
Right.
Now, Mike, can you please testify to this reality?
It's really a travesty to all humanity, what he does at night.
We were in New York a couple years ago, and we were in a teeny tiny room. All three of us. Mike literally slept on the floor. And Jason's volume level, I mean, it registers on the Richter scale.
It's impressive.
It's an actual. So we get two rooms. This is what we do now.
There's another tremor.
We get a couple rooms. Brooks is here with us in Anaheim, and we're heading off to Toronto to the Fantasy Sports Show after this. We'll be bringing you shows the entire week. And so we always get two rooms. And so we register. We get the two rooms. We get up to our room, and Mike and I are looking around. Okay, it's
normal, regular hotel room. Yeah.
We're totally content with this room. Until we go next door, and we look at Brooks and Jason's room.
Yes.
Now,
they gave me the handicap room, people. I'm not saying
that's not a joke.
It's not a joke. No, there's a button on the outside and all sorts of special amenities up in this room.
This room has got windows. It looks like a penthouse.
You could sleep in the bathroom if you wanted.
You can take jogs in the room. It is so big. The bathroom's 3X.
So much room for activities.
It's unbelievable. That's where we're recording right now, in Jason's super room.
Yeah.
So welcome into the podcast.
Welcome into my bedroom, America.
Yeah, welcome into the bedroom. If you're on YouTube, you'll see us. It is old school. We've got the desk set up like the olden days. Great show today. We're going to kick it off with a great quick question. We're going to do some Keep Trade Cut. Before we do that, Mike, why don't you tell them where they can find us on Twitter?
You can find us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. You can follow me, the best one, at FF Hitman. Jason's at JasonFFL. Andy is at Andy Holloway. Of course, you can check everything out that we do over at thefantasyfootballers.com. And I want to throw out my quick reminder here. We got the Fantasy Sports Show this weekend, so if you're in the Northeast, please come hang out with us. Come watch us do a live show. If you're in the Southwest, on Labor Day at 7 p.m., September 4th, Ballers Live. This is the show that we are putting on. We're doing it live in Phoenix. BallersLive.com is where you get your tickets, and everyone who goes, because we always take things up a notch. You know how we do it. Bam! We got a signed David Johnson, framed signed David Johnson jersey that everyone is eligible to win if you're at the show. So please come hang out with us. It's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, we are going to get into the breakouts and some news. Before we do that, we're going to play a little Keep Trade Cut right now. We got a couple tough decisions to make, guys. I hope you're ready.
Keep Trade Cut.
All right, always a fan favorite. We like Keep Trade Cut. Let's start with this one. We're going to go cross position. Brooks has got this one ready for us. Keep Trade Cut. Pierre Garçon, Terrence West, Jeremy Maclin. What are you doing?
I like all three of these players this year in the draft. I think all three represent really good, positional twos, if you will. Like none of these guys have the opportunity to finish as a running back one, a wide receiver one, but I think all will be at or near the running back or wide receiver two, and they are so late in your draft. So I'm going to start with the trade then. I'm going to say who's going to have the most value, and I think right now that's Terrence West, especially with some of the news with Danny Woodhead. I think Terrence West will net me the most. So I'm trading Terrence West. I'm going to keep Jeremy Maclin because I believe he has the highest upside. He's still in his prime, and I'll cut poor Pierre Garçon.
Interesting. I will definitely trade Jeremy Maclin to you. That is going to be to you or Mike.
Yep, I'm guessing for Terrence West.
I'm
right?
trading Jeremy Maclin. Yeah, for Terrence West. Terrence West is my keep. I love Pierre Garçon. Like it's between if a full PPR, I probably go my keep as Pierre Garçon. Any other format, I'll go with the running back positional scarcity here. I'll go keep West, trade Maclin to you two knuckleheads. All that potential and the unknown of Jeremy Maclin and his injury history going to Baltimore, and I'll go ahead and cut Pierre Garçon, but with respect. I'll give him a handshake on the way out.
Yeah, I'm going to keep Maclin because I think that he is a strong wide receiver, too, with the potential of being an actual low-end one if things fall his way. There was many doubters when Steve Smith was going over to Baltimore with age and injury history at Baltimore and coming back from those things.
Alex Smith made
sure
Jeremy Maclin a wide receiver one.
Yeah, Joe
once.
Flacco can air it out a little bit better.
Did he finish a 1?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maclin?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was the year I was on Maclin's side.
Which makes no sense why you're
It's
not,
so
you're not
weird
into
to
Joe
hear
Flacco.
you.
But anyway, so I'm keeping Maclin. I need to see Terrence West in this week 3, preseason week 3 is super important because he looked terrible.
Woodhead is hurt right now.
Woodhead is hurt. There's now these reports that Buck Allen's looking good. Ryan Matthews is waiting like a vulture just to be signed by somebody. So, but at least with the information we have right now, I would trade Terrence West because I think I'll get the value for him and cut old man Pierre Garçon.
Poor Garçon. He got cut in all 3.
I like that.
Yeah.
Maclin
Okay.
is not the old man, but Garçon's the old man.
Jeremy Hill, John Brown, Marvin Jones. Keep, trade, cut. Jeremy Hill,
Oh, man.
John Brown, Marvin Jones. I am going to start this one
no.
out. I am keeping Marvin Jones.
Jason is distraught about something.
I'm keeping Marvin Jones. I think that Jeremy Hill is going to let you down the way Jeremy Hill does. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trade Jeremy Hill. I'm going to cut John Brown. Jason is losing his mind over it.
I feel like Brooks has set me up here.
What did Brooks do?
I feel like Brooks has got me to a place where I might have to cut my man John Brown.
Oh.
Because right now I have more confidence in Marvin Jones than I have in John Brown. And that makes me very, very sad. I love John Brown. I
All
wish he
3
could
of these
stay
guys,
healthy.
I don't really want to they're not super keep candidates.
I'm
so.
keeping Marvin Jones. I think he's the one guy in drafts right now I would be actively drafting. I guess Jeremy Hill has looked good. He's been splitting all the first team. He'll still be the goal line back. Right now with all the news, negative health news with John Brown, I think you got to trade Jeremy Hill, get that value, and cut my man Smokey.
I'm keeping Jeremy Hill. He has looked good. Like I said with Terrence West, you can shake your head, but he's looked
I'm
good.
just shaking my head at the fact that you're going to be back in that guy's corner again.
I'm not telling people to draft him in the 3rd round. I'm saying you get the value.
He's
on
double
Jeremy.
digits.
You get him late for a guy who can be a spot start running back
This
too.
is like you've got a girlfriend that just keeps coming back asking for forgiveness.
That's fine. That's fine, and I will do that with Jeremy Hill because I have no confidence right now in John Brown, and Marvin Jones is fine, but he's in that wide receiver tier that's I can grab those guys off of the waivers. Meanwhile, a running back who I'm with Jason. I'm projecting him to get the goal line carries. Things could switch real quick on Jeremy Hill, and they unleash Joe Mixon in Cincinnati. But for right now, I'm going to take that value on Hill.
All right, let's go ahead and talk a little news.
News and notes from around the league.
All right, let's go ahead and talk a little news. Lev Bell says he's going to report September 1st. Are we excited about Lev Bell officially ending his holdout? Well, we have to be. That takes another variable out of the way.
Yeah, it's great news. Le'Veon Bell is still my number 2 pick. In all
we
formats.
never moved him. All right, there's been some talk about Odell Beckham Jr. missing maybe a week or two due to the ankle sprain. I got a question from a Foot Clan member. They wanted to know, look, they're sitting there. If Odell drops to 9 in their draft.
Oh, my goodness. What?
Hold on. Would you take him still ahead of Jordy Nelson and A.J. Green at 9 if he was going to miss a game or two? These are the 3 players on the board. Do you move Beckham if you think it's going to be a game or two?
I don't think that I do.
I'd probably just take him.
Yeah, but we've talked about a lot that when receivers are coming into the season already with some type of leg problem, it can be worrisome, but Odell Beckham is just such a difference maker that I'm not going to move him. If you wanted to take Jordy over him, I'm okay because I have Jordy Nelson as tier 1 wide
basically
receiver.
how I felt on that. Let's talk about Brandon Marshall, the shoulder injury. The Giants are not concerned. Danny Woodhead, sidelined at practice with a hamstring injury. We have talked about that a little bit earlier with Terrence West, but it's not good when you have a situation like that. Not only do they not have the Joe Flacco consistency there, now you got Woodhead banged up. He'll probably be okay, but look, he hasn't returned to practice yet. We got to monitor it.
Yeah, Buck Allen will be involved, as we kind of talked about last episode. It's one of those things where you just monitor it, nothing much you can do. But Danny Woodhead, he is older. And one of the things that you see, I mean, we give him kind of, for some reason, we give him a free pass on the age issue. As a running back, he is, 32? And here's the one thing we have seen with age is that when you get injured, it doesn't give you a higher probability of getting injured, but oftentimes it's slower to recover. And so that's definitely worth monitoring. I think Danny Woodhead is very high on a lot of PPR boards right now. And if he is not back, if he's not back in practice in a week or two, then I'll be moving him down a little. I still think his upside is worthy of being on roster in every PPR league.
All right, Prosise. CJ Prosise suffered a strained groin. This is just the last of a laundry list of injuries going back to college. Concern on the team from the coaching staff that he's not going to be able to stay healthy. He's out of our sleeper candidate list right now because it's a messy situation there. Thomas Rawls, Eddie Lacy, CJ Prosise, they all have problems. And so trying to say, hey, Prosise is going to emerge with 60, 70 receptions, you can't say it right now.
Yeah, I am the biggest backer of Prosise on this show, and I'm out. I can't recommend drafting him.
Hugh Jackson said Wednesday DeShone Kizer will be starting Saturday's preseason game in Tampa Bay. It seems to me that we should talk about DeShone Kizer's fantasy value because I think he'll enter the year as the starter. I think Brock's time is gone. They already said Brock's not even going to play in that game. I don't think
he's not going to play.
He's not going to play.
He went from certain to be the week 1 starter.
Well, and
Jason was saying before the show, what was the quote from the coach?
Oh yeah, Hugh Jackson after the game was saying he thought that they that Brock played all right, and he said based on what we were doing, I think he did some good things. We'll have to go back and watch the film, of course. They went and watched the film.
Yeah, that's
they went, I was wrong.
And now he's not going to play.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to give a shout-out to Brad Evans on this because of the way he put it, but the scoring duality of DeShone Kizer instantaneously, to me, makes him a top 20 quarterback. He will run the ball, and if you run the ball, it disproportionately affects your fantasy value regardless of whether he's as productive as an NFL quarterback. So if he's a starter, what do you have week 1? DeShone Kizer's a top 15, top 20 guy to me. And he's somebody that could emerge because of the running capabilities.
He has Corey Coleman.
And he has weapons.
People love Corey Coleman coming out of college. And Kenny Britt's coming off his best season as a pro. There are weapons there. Njoku if he can break out.
Duke Johnson will be in the slot, constantly available.
Duke Johnson is an amazing pass catcher. Seth DeVal, I think, has an opportunity to contribute. So it does. He becomes very interesting. I'm not going to draft him, but he will probably be streamed a time or two this season.
Let me ask you one more follow-up there. Does it affect Isaiah Crowell to have Kizer behind center over Brock or Kessler?
Isaiah Crowell, yeah. I mean, usually when you've got a running quarterback, it opens things up a little bit more. Now, Kizer has the ability to run, but he isn't necessarily a running quarterback in the sense. Yeah, I mean, so I think it helps Crowell. In that same vein, it could actually hurt Duke Johnson a little bit because Kizer is much more of a down the field type of pass thrower. Although
when he came in, he was keeping it short. He was keeping it tight right by that line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it would be great if we had more. I think that's, people are always, what do we watch for in preseason? Here's what you want to watch for in preseason week 3. If Kizer gets that start, is he checking the ball down? Is he looking to run early? Is he looking downfield? Because his tendencies, those natural tendencies, I think those will give us clues into should we look at the field stretcher more or, the running back or the check down running back, which option. Obviously, who the quarterback is going to have a tremendous effect on the fantasy output for the rest of the team.
All right, out of Tampa, the expectation is that Sims will operate as the passing down and third down back. I want people to remember Charles Sims was a plus 1,000 total yardage guy in this offense 2 years ago. A lot of hype and excitement around him going back to last year's draft. Injured last year, supplanted, didn't perform. Just be aware of Charles Sims. He's a great late-round flyer to me. If you like players like Danny Woodhead, C.J. Prosise, the hype around him. Look, these guys are locked into that third down role, but Sims found a way to score frequently when he was in the lineup. He's a deep sleeper, and it's in an offense that's going to be powerful, and you don't want to devalue those type of players. I think if you like a guy like Alvin Kamara, you need to at least think about a guy like Charles Sims.
Yeah, I agree that Sims, if he was injured last year, because he looked very different. If he was,
he missed a lot
of games.
Yeah, I'm saying when he was on the field, if he was hampered by those injuries, then because he didn't look the same. And the only hardship and what's dropped Charles Sims right now is the fact that Jaquiz kind of broke out as he's actually a good back, and then they went and drafted running back.
McNichols is there.
Yeah, McNichols. So last year it felt like coming into the draft it was Doug Martin and Charles Sims. Now it's Doug Martin, Jaquiz Rogers, Charles Sims, and McNichols.
The one thing to remember, though, from last year, Jay, is that Charles Sims didn't look good because he was thrust into that role with Doug Martin out. They tried to put him in there and make him carry a load that isn't his vein. So it wasn't like he just didn't look good on third down last year. It was because he had to take those first and second down carries for a limited amount of time. So I do think he's somebody to be aware of.
But part of Sims' value is when it was the two of them, he's still getting some carries. And if Jaquiz is going to take the carries when Martin needs a rest, then Sims' value would come way down.
All right, we're going to get into the breakouts. Before we do, I want to remind you, Mike Gillislee, Jonathan Williams, Ty Montgomery, Matt Forte, and Emmanuel Sanders have all returned to practice.
Finally, Gillislee.
Forte is important because if you're looking at week 1 matchups, which you can be doing now, Forte returning to practice. We talked about Bilal Powell could be a sneaky week 1 play. Pay attention to what's going on in that exciting New York Jets offense. Okay.
Do you know who's getting the majority of first-team reps right now for the New York Jets in practice this week?
Oh, wait, what position?
Quarterback.
Oh, no.
No.
Who?
It's still Christian Hackenberg.
What are they doing?
Yeah,
they're doing what Jason has projected.
They are not going to give.
Trusting the process.
They are not going to give the Browns that chance to get that number 1 pick with 1 victory.
Okay.
It's so I still think Josh McCown will be the week 1 starter because Christian Hackenberg is.
Yeah.
You want to believe that the best player is going to start, but you might not be able to believe that with the Jets.
No, certainly not. Before we move into the breakouts, I want to thank today's sponsor, NFL Game Pass.
Oh, love it.
You've heard us talk about how are we breaking down this film. Where do you go? NFL Game Pass, every throw, every catch, every 2-minute drill, they've got you covered. They've got you covered for all these preseason games. And what we're doing is so valuable for what we do as fantasy players, the condensed games.
Those are the best.
After the game's been up for a day or two, they cut everything out. All the fluff, all the commercials, and the games are about 40 minutes. So, I mean, these preseason games, you want to see the starters? You're crushing through that 15 minutes. There's no other way to do that other than NFL Game Pass, all the live out-of-market preseason games like I was talking about. You get that coach's film, the 22, the eye in the sky. Check out how players are actually doing. Like I said, if it's NFL football and it happened, NFL Game Pass has got it. Best of all, you can kick off the 2017 NFL season with a free NFL Game Pass trial. Sign up now at NFL.com/fantasyfootballers. That's NFL.com/fantasyfootballers.
We also want to thank our official trophy sponsor, fantasychamps.com. Look, your league deserves
Premium.
a better trophy. They have this absolutely incredible crystal trophy on there that has your team, your league name emblazoned on the top of that trophy. You can
use
load
it
it up.
for workouts as well because the thing weighs like
It's
700
beautiful.
pounds.
And they have a gold trophy on there. You got losers trophies if you want to celebrate the disaster owners of your league.
Which you should.
And if you've got a history of winning, go grab some of those championship rings because they are beautiful. All custom engraved on metal, not cheap plastic like other companies. So check it out, fantasychamps.com. Use our promo code BALLERS. You're going to save 10%. It's absolutely the best award hardware you can get for your fantasy football leagues.
Breakouts.
All right, we're bringing you
Because that's an old school drop when we used to
Yeah.
have it on the front and the back, my man.
wow. So we'll just press on.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So do you have another drop? Was there another one that you made that doesn't have it on the back?
No.
Oh, you just didn't even tell me.
No.
Just a surprise.
I love it. Love it.
I was so excited to get into it. All right, look, it's probably trying to cut me off because it doesn't like my breakouts. But I'll start this thing off. Each of us, we'd pick two guys that we really like as breakout candidates this year. These aren't guys that we all consensus agree on necessarily. You can see all of those consensus breakout candidates in the UDK. We've talked about them on the show. I'm going to kick it off with a guy that I think people were surprised wasn't in my guys.
I'm pretty surprised he was not.
He was there. I put Doug Martin in. I was on the fence between the two. It's Terrelle Pryor.
Terrelle Pryor.
You get caught up in the
Terrelle Pryor, my first
That's the end. You
breakout.
sound like Sister Act
Canada.
over there.
Right now, a third-round pick. Look, he might as well be my guy. He was definitely honorable mention for that episode. But, look, give me the biggest non-injury-prone red zone weapon in a 5,000 passing yard offense. I love Terrelle Pryor this year. Look, he's probably not going to get to 140 targets like he had in Cleveland. I recognize that, but he should more than make up for that with red zone utilization, big plays. We've talked at length, I have in the past, about the quality of the downfield targets he received in Cleveland compared to the quality of targets he'll receive from Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think you can use that word when you refer to the Cleveland targets.
No.
Quality?
No,
Quality
it's
is, no.
every bit of his 6'4" frame, it was an advantage to him in Cleveland at snagging these inconsistent bad targets last year. And I want to remind people, don't freak out. We always tell you, don't freak out. Don't be afraid. In the preseason, you're watching some different things. I'm not overreacting to that preseason game one. Jamison Crowder, Jordan Reed, and Josh Doxson have all missed time in this training camp time to build a rapport with Kirk Cousins. Yeah, the offense didn't look great. I'll admit that.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad.
It's one preseason game,
Yeah,
guys.
it is a preseason
Don't
game. I will
even
grant
worry
you
about
that.
it. It makes sense that they're not quite there yet. They've switched out this receiving core, and Jordan Reed wasn't even on the field. But I think Terrelle Pryor is a prime breakout candidate. He's a strange beast because not only is he an athletic freak, he's oversized, but he is also not that prototypical situation where you're saying, okay, third-year breakout. This guy wasn't a wide receiver, right? This is his second full season as a wide receiver. He has as much a chance as any to improve, and he hasn't been banged up. He hasn't been hurt. He has built rapport with Kirk Cousins, and he'll be a red zone target. So I think Terrelle Pryor has top 12 potential. That would be a huge breakout for him. I've got him ranked around 10. I know that's the highest of our group. Terrelle Pryor, my first breakout for 2017.
See, I like Terrelle Pryor as a breakout. I've spoken.
Who do you like?
Terrelle Pryor. You get caught up in the. I can't not get caught up in it once
No.
you're in the crossfire. You know.
That's evident.
I like Terrelle Pryor. I've spoke out negatively against
You
Terrelle
have
Pryor.
been all over the map.
No,
with
I
Terrelle
know,
Pryor.
but I feel like depending on what's being said, I need to balance it with the
It's
alternative.
like the flight of a bumblebee.
I don't-
That's
his
right.
thoughts on Terrelle Pryor. You have no idea where this thing's going.
I know exactly where I see Terrelle Pryor.
Yeah,
as
but
the
we
wide-
don't.
As the wide receiver 25. That's
He
what I
just
think
wants
Terrelle
to be
Pryor
able to
will
say he's right no matter what happens to Terrelle Pryor.
Terrelle Pryor, wide receiver 25. If he's anywhere else, if he's 26, if he's 24, I will accept that I am wrong. But
25 is bad.
yeah, well,
25 is a bust
I
for
think
what
for
Terrelle
where you
Pryor.
for
draft,
where he's
yeah.
being drafted, I agree. But what I was going to say about that is that the breakouts that we're talking about is breakout potential. Obviously, if we knew a guy's going to break out, then you would always draft them properly. But Terrelle Pryor does have a lot of the things that say I could be wrong, and he could massively break out. That frame, that offense, the fact that he's only a second-year wide receiver. I'm going to be wrong on plenty of players, and Terrelle Pryor has.
But the thing about Pryor is you're paying for it in the draft. A third-round pick is
Yeah, but you're not paying top 10 wide receiver numbers. You're paying
not top 10, but
No.
you're paying top 15 numbers for him.
What
Yeah,
do you
around
think Brooks is doing in this show, huh? He's just lounging on the bed over there. He doesn't have any cameras to run. He doesn't have to run the board.
I look over. He's doing the David Hasselhoff.
Oh, is that what that was?
All right.
I was worried it was the Kate Winslet from Titanic. I didn't
Draw
want
me?
that.
Oh, there's
my
Judge
gosh,
Giamatti.
he brought the Giamatti sign with him.
All right, I will. I'll hop in here next. I'm going to go with a guy that is one of the rare guys on this list today. We're talking about that is a consensus. I think we all see the breakout potential in him. A lot of people see it, but I want to explain it. That's for Tyreek the Freak Hill. Breakout. That should be Breakout, right? So you could say, well, he did he already break out last year when you look at the final numbers? But in reality, he wasn't. He was barely a wide receiver. He was, a gadget player where, they're getting him involved in short passes and handoffs and special teams and all sorts of stuff. But when you watch the film, you saw a special player. You saw a guy that elite defensive players could not catch up with. I remember when he was playing, in games against awesome defenses that I thought, look, they're not going to be able. They're going to be able to stop him, and he'd run away from the Denver Broncos, and you go, wow, he's fast. Last year, I was looking up some of the numbers from him, and he surprised me. I wanted to focus today on, so how did they utilize him, and how did he succeed or fail when Jeremy Maclin was gone? Because that's really, I think, it's not just a wide receiver 2 in the system. That's great. Wide receiver 2s break out all the time. But I think the real change for him is not just the second year, but is Jeremy Maclin being gone and him being thrust into the wide receiver 1 role for the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you realize how good he was when Jeremy Maclin was gone in his rookie year, in his first year? How many targets? What do you think the pace? Okay, so not targets, receptions. How many receptions do you think he was on pace for? And there's a decent chunk here. It was weeks 9 through 13 that Jeremy Maclin missed. Weeks 9 through 13, if you...
Why don't you just tell us?
Well, I want guesses.
No.
Oh, Mike's saying no. Andy, will
I'll
you
go,
give me a guess?
How many receptions a game?
How many receptions on that pace? 16 games.
Oh, during the games
Oh.
Maclin was out?
From weeks 9 through 13. What
That's
pace?
probably 100.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's a lot.
That's crazy to say 100. Why
Yeah,
would you guess
that's
that
insane.
high? That's insane. That's actually low. He was on pace for 109 receptions. He was getting basically almost 7 receptions a game. And when you look at it, it wasn't like one of these games he had 15 receptions and then he had 4. He's just basically every single game around 7 receptions, which is
That's
a
ridiculous.
volume you can trust. Then you add in the talent, and clearly, I mean, even in the draft, you go, well, he was a 5th-round wide receiver, a 5th-round draft pick, but he fell drastically in the draft because of personal baggage with domestic issues prior to that. He would have been a top pick had it not been for that.
I want to take you back in time because I buy in. Look, this is one of our consensus breakout candidates is Tyreek Hill. And look, it's hard to say I wouldn't. His draft position is where? 6th round?
Yeah.
I would draft him over Terrelle Pryor for that draft value. Absolutely. Let me take you back in time because there's a player I think I can compare. Let's go back to 2012. Percy Harvin.
Mm-hmm.
Percy Harvin is a great Tyreek Hill comparison to me because there was the first 10 games back in 2012 where he was the guy. Very similar situation in Minnesota. You had target counts of 12, 14, 10, 11, 13 for Percy Harvin that year and I owned him. I remember how much fun it was to have a guy that not only had targets, but guess what? Here's his carry counts in those games. 4, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. Every game you get an end around or two. Every game you get a designed run for that player. There is no chance that Andy Reid, an offensive mind, is not going to utilize an offensive weapon in a wise way. So I'm on board.
And they clearly want him to be used in that way. They've taken him off of special teams because they want him to stay healthy and be involved and have the gas tank to get it done with volume. If from weeks 9 through 13 when Jeremy Maclin was out, that would have put him on pace. And I'm getting rid of the rushing. I'm just saying as a receiver, forget the 141-yard rushing, totals that he was projected for. Forget the kick return touchdown, forget the punt return touchdown, take all that out. Just how many receptions, how many yards, how many touchdowns during those weeks. That projects to 190 fantasy points, which would have put him just ahead of Larry Fitzgerald and Amari Cooper in half-point scoring. That was in his rookie year. That was without a training camp as a 1. So the breakout potential is there. Now, should he become injury-prone like Percy Harvin because he's a small frame and getting that volume?
Well, we don't have the migraines
right.
aren't there. I mean, you don't have that history yet.
The one thing I'll say about Tarik Hill, the only variable, I think he's actually a really, really safe player. I love him in the 6th round. The only thing that could happen that would disrupt Tyreek Hill, I think, would be a quarterback controversy changeover mid through the season because you just don't know. You don't have a rapport with Pat Mahomes or as what was the nickname that one of the Foot Clan members said?
Guns Mahomie.
Oh, yeah, he wanted us to call him Guns Mahomes.
Well,
Bring him
I'm
back
still
to
digesting on that one.
TBD.
Yeah, TBD.
Mike, let's get a breakout from you.
All right, I'm going to start with this one because this one's a little bit off of the radar. And Andy is just seeing it for the first time because I was thinking, what do I want from a breakout player? I want a player who I can draft late and I believe can become a startable fantasy asset. And that...
You're not overreacting here?
No, I don't believe I am. That's Tarik Cohen because he is essentially free in all...
Wait, is that Tarik the Freak?
No. This is Tarik Cohen, Chicago Bears running back. And here's the deal for Cohen. He has passed every single eye test through this preseason. Yeah, and small sample, but he was an absolute beast, in college. So his college production already backed up what we're seeing now in the NFL. They have a solid offensive line. He's running 6.4 yards per carry. And yes, it's 2 preseason games. I understand. But just watch him play. Watch how decisive.
Well, the last game was against the Arizona Cardinals.
Exactly.
Ones. I mean, that's a great defense. Even if they weren't scheming for him and hadn't, done the film for him, you're still just going elite.
Right, a top rushing defense
player.
And here's the thing: as much as I love Jordan Howard, last year a drop rate of 14%. That's not a guy that you can count on in the passing game. And I know they have Benny Cunningham, but you got to follow what the team is doing. They're giving Cohen all of these opportunities because they want to see what they have. And Tarik, 37 receptions in his senior year. Now he's coming in the league. I'm projecting him as that passing role for the Chicago Bears because you know who he reminds me of now? Darren Sproles.
Yeah, he's 5'6", 179.
He is in this Darren Sproles frame. He looks like young Darren Sproles on the field. And is that a running back 1 or 2? No, probably not. But in PPR, this guy is going to be a 3, and he's going to have games just like Darren Sproles where when he gets 10-plus carries because a game flow works out with that. Let's say it's working. You've seen this with Darren Sproles. When Darren Sproles' carries are working, teams just keep feeding him the ball.
I'm guessing game scripts are what you're interested in.
Yes.
Because they're going to be losing.
And, of course, there's all the negative game scripts for the Chicago Bears. A lot of passing is going to have to happen for this team. So I'm saying a free running back in the draft, which
Tarik Cohen or Charles Sims?
Cohen.
Wow.
For sure.
Okay.
Because I
like you breaking out a new name here.
And I don't know, man. I believe in what I am seeing. I believe in his college production, and I believe that he, like you're saying, that the negative game script is so huge for Cohen if he really steals that passing downs job, which
I think
Benny Cunningham is injury prone.
And Benny Cunningham appears from what we've seen that he's been brought in even more so for special teams than to be that passing downs back. So I can buy into Cohen being the passing downs back and having in a PPR league some value. But a breakout, I think, is only going to be able to happen with an injury to Jordan Howard.
See, I don't even think so. The way I'm looking at a breakout is someone who, and it's a rookie, so obviously you couldn't start him last year. But a breakout to me, I'm saying this is a player that will become a startable fantasy player on a consistent basis.
Sure, he could turn into Chris Thompson.
No, I think he'll be better than Thompson.
Yeah, because Chris Thompson's not a startable.
Yeah,
fantasy
I don't think
asset.
you can use him.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. In a PPR deep league, you can start him in the flex, but
You're going to need to me. You're going to need home runs. You're going to need
and he
Tarik
showed
Cohen
that
to hit
he's
home
got
runs.
the talent. But we'll
All right, we need to move on. We got 3 more breakouts for you. I'm going to give love to the fans in D.C. today because my breakouts, they're on the same team, guys. I'm going Terrelle Pryor and Jamison Crowder. Or
so
as
a third
we say,
breakout,
Crowder.
Kirk Cousins.
No,
Yeah.
look,
Yeah,
he
draft
already
Kirk
broke
Cousins.
out. Kirk Cousins already broke out. I already talked about the 5,000 passing yard offense. Look, Jamison Crowder is being drafted in the 6th round, and this is not unprecedented to have 2 wide receivers in the top 24, and that's what I'm projecting. I'm not telling you Jamison Crowder last year was the 30th wide receiver. I'm telling you this guy can get up to the 20 range this year, and you can have 2 top 24 wide receivers in Washington. Last year you had 4 duos. You had Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams. You had Crabtree and Cooper. You had Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, and you had Michael Thomas and Brandon Cooks all finished inside the top 24 on their respective teams. This is a high-profile offense. I believe it'll be a very powerful offense. And Jamison Crowder is going from a guy who last year was his 2nd year. There are certain players, right, that are dedicated. You talk about Julian Edelman's hustle in the preseason. You know who has that kind of dedication? Jamison Crowder. This guy works hard to get better every single day. He's now a starter. Last year, he was only in on about 73% of snaps over the course of the year. A lot of those were the result towards the end of the year of having 80+% snap counts with Jordan Reed out of the game. I think he'll be right around that 80% mark this year. There are beat reporters in Washington. They're talking consistently about, look, if Jordan Reed's not on the field, Crowder's your number 1 option already. He's the wide receiver one on this team. When they go 2 wide, Crowder's on the field. That wasn't the case last year with Garcon and Djax. So to me, he's a prime breakout candidate to get up into that top 20 range. I think, Cousins in this offense can sustain it. And if you have a small dip, which I can understand with his size in the red zone and with having weapons like Doxson, Reed, and Pryor, I think it'll be made up for. When you had last year, he had 67 receptions for 847 yards and 7 touchdowns. I see him more in the 80 reception range for 1,000 yards. Maybe it's 5 touchdowns. But I think it's going to be a top 20 performance. So I like Jamison Crowder, Terrelle Pryor. We can go on and we can talk about Mike's next breakout.
Oh, I get to jump? All right, I'm
Oh,
hurdling.
I'm sorry. I'll just let you bring it back. I'll let you bring up the final. You can drop
yeah,
You can
I'll
close out the
I'll be
show.
the anchor.
Yeah.
All right. This
You
is,
always weigh us down. So
That's if I've ever been called one thing, it's been the anchor
Jason
that
is
you
the
throw
rock.
off the ship.
is that what they call, like when you play a game of tug of war, the guy that's on the that
Yeah.
puts himself in the rope at the back?
Yeah, if the rope can
And
fit
he-
over me,
Is that the anchor?
I
Yeah,
believe
that
it
is.
is. I believe it is.
Okay.
And speaking about a guy who may anchor a lot of my fantasy teams this year, I'm back in. He was close to being my guy. It's Ameer Abdullah, 5th round price because I
Perfect breakout candidate.
I strongly believe in the talent. Hey, look, people were disappointed his rookie year for his fantasy output. He was only in on 33% of snaps. They still,
Hard to hold that against him.
They still believed in Joik Bell, and Theo Riddick was already established or was establishing himself as the passing downs back. Thank you.
There's Joy.
Thank
I just
you,
don't
Joik.
know how often we're going to get to talk
Yeah.
about Joik Bell again.
Trust me, if we know one thing about the NFL, it's that there will always be a new Joik Bell who will be able to
Use
get
that
the
drop.
Tuba. Yeah. But here's the thing. Follow the money, right? You have to do this in the NFL when you're looking at fantasy players. All draftniks were saying, okay, the Lions, they're a prime spot for one of these rookie running backs in the draft. Nope. They didn't add anybody because all offseason they've said Ameer Abdullah is our guy. He is our lead back. They didn't add anyone of note in free agency. Is it Matt Asiata? No, thank you. Let's see if he even makes.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? We knew that the Tuba was going to play.
You gave me a quick opportunity there.
He is the lead back in this. Once again, Ameer Abdullah is not injury prone. He did not miss a game in college. He played in all 16 games as a rookie. He had a Liz Frank problem in his foot, and he missed
was
the season.
injured, is what you're saying.
Exactly. He was injured. He's not injury prone just because he's a little bit smaller. The talent is undeniable. Go watch week 1 from last season. He is unbelievable. And while I'm saying breakout, I'm not talking about a running back 1. This is Ameer Abdullah is.
You don't think he has running back 1 potential?
There's the potential, but it's going to be the touchdowns.
Yeah,
and
the
this is like
the Lions hampered the RB1 upside. I think as a team,
Yes.
their rushing potential.
And it's like Shady McCoy, right? Which we all love him right now, and that's fine. But there are years of LaShawn McCoy's career where he's carving up defenses. He's putting up major yards, and then he scores 3 rushing touchdowns on the season. So that's very possible. That's in the outcomes for Ameer Abdullah, that the touchdowns just do not fall to him. But I project him as the lead runner for this team. I project he will be heavily involved in the passing game. It's not all Theo Riddick. Ameer Abdullah has major passing game chops. He's in the 5th round, and a running back who I think is an easy plug-and-play running back too in the 5th round that's spectacular value for me, and I'm back in.
One of the things
on the Abdullah Express
I really like is everything out of camp has been good on Abdullah. The coaches have said they want to get him involved, and then every preseason they have taken him out of the game so quick to say you're a guy.
You're good. We don't need to see anything else.
We don't need to see you play. We don't want the potential of you getting hurt. Let's throw Zach Zinner in on the 4th snap of the game and head forward. So all
right, let's bring it to the anchor.
Let's make it a little heavy.
The anchor man.
The anchor man. Excuse me, I have a very important announcement. Marcus Mariota is my breakout candidate that I think.
I believe it's Mariatu.
Depends if you're going Goodell or not. Yeah.
Marcus Mariota has a great potential to break out this year. He has not yet broken out, even though sometimes we feel like he had, because he had that stretch last year where he was liquid magma and lighting the entire league on fire.
We're doing that again.
He's the only kind of magma there is, which is liquid.
He's the only kind of magma.
He is.
There is no solid magma.
Well, it's like saying he's hot fire. There's no other kind of fire.
Fair.
But it's still an adjective.
There might be soon.
All right, so
Game of Thrones.
Oh, come on, man. I guess you're spoiler.
I think you're spoiler free on that. All right, so here's the thing with Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota came out in his rookie year, and he looked pretty darn good. He was a quarterback 2. He did not have a wide receiver finish in fantasy football in the top 50.
It was all Delaney.
He was literally the only quarterback that could say that. Now, in the top 50. His number 1 wide receiving option, do you know who that was? Do you remember who that was in 2015?
As far as a wide receiver?
As far as a wide receiver goes, he finishes the wide receiver 57.
Was it Kendall Wright?
It was not.
No. I'm thinking about this.
He's been traded around a lot and is currently, I believe, without a team. If he's not, he should be. It's Dorial Green-Beckham.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
wow.
That's how bad the wide receiving situation was for Marcus Mariota. Now they brought in last year, huge free agent acquisition, Richard.
Hey, don't
Matthews.
crap on Matthews.
No, look, I like Matthews. You like Matthews. We've always been higher on him than
he's
most.
Not a
But he's not a spectacular.
Tier,
he's not a top tier wide receiver. He's never been. He's just he's a solid route runner with good hands, and he can be decent. And he was decent. Marcus Mariota turned him into a pretty fantasy relevant player, and Mariota finished as the quarterback 13, just outside of that quarterback 1. And keep in mind, Mariota did not play 16 games last year, so had he played 16, he probably would have been a quarterback 1. What do they do this year? They've got Richard Matthews there. They've got Delaney Walker there. Jonnu Smith, the tight end they brought in, looks like another legitimate pass-catching option, but he wasn't their first, pass-catching option taken. Before he was taken, I believe, Taywan Taylor. Before him, Corey Davis, a top 10 pick in the NFL. Oh, let's bring in Eric Decker, too. I mean, he has all the weapons to throw to. He has the talent. We've seen it on the field. And the only knock on Marcus Mariota is actually a good thing for fantasy football. The knock on him is that he has pretty massive splits between when he plays a top half passing defense and a bottom half passing defense. And you go, oh, yeah, he only carves up the bad defenses and plays poor against the good defenses. Great. Guess who's going to get it right when you go to decide whether to start him or sit him? In fantasy football, that's the one split that I like to see when I'm not taking a top pick. If I'm in round
if it's
one,
Big
round
Ben
two,
and you're seeing those splits, you don't really like it.
yeah, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's right now the 10th quarterback off the board. You're grabbing him late, and I think he has the potential. Unlike a lot of guys, he has the potential to finish this year as a top 5 quarterback.
I mean, I can go back 2 years and remember we made predictions on the show who we thought would be the better fantasy quarterback long term. Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota. Going down to that week 1. You remember the week 1?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Mano y mano.
Jameis was really good in that week 1.
Especially that first pass.
Jameis was still a breakout candidate this year as well. And so what is your take? Who do you think ends up as the better fantasy guy over the next 5 years?
Man, I think they're both
isn't
going to
it
be
still
good,
a tough decision?
It is still
yes.
a tough decision. It is
So-
absolutely a tough decision.
I'm going to lean on
I still lean Jameis.
do you?
Yeah, but it's if he can get it's the over trusting your arm making these bad decisions.
I think I'm going to go
it's
Mariota.
It's mental for
I'm
him.
going to go Mariota because brain and legs.
He
Mariota
he's a
is good
smart
for
QB,
fantasy
yeah.
for fantasy football when you are a rushing quarterback. Not that Jameis can't, but Mariota is much more involved in the rushing game.
Brain
So-
and legs.
brain and legs.
Brain.
All right, hey, look, I'm going to throw a couple other names out there before we close out. Devontae Parker is another potential candidate. You've got Stephon Diggs, Eric
Ooh,
Ebron if
my
he can
guy.
get healthy.
Eric Ebron
Willie
may not be on
Snead in
this
that
list
starter
long.
role. So pay attention. Isaiah Crowell, too. We talked about him earlier. He's a breakout candidate. With that improved offensive line and the things they've done in Cleveland, if Kizer gives them something that they didn't have last year, even if it takes a little bit of time, I think you'll see some higher rushing performances from Crowell and higher volume. So,
Yeah, a lot of good guys. And there's obviously a ton more guys that we consensus agree on in the UDK, so make sure you grab that. And also, don't forget, you want to make sure you get the NFL Game Pass so that you can stay on top of games even when you miss the games on a Sunday. You can go back, watch them short. It's the NFL football. If the game happened, NFL Game Pass has it. So kick off the 2017 NFL season with a free NFL Game Pass trial. Sign up now at NFL.com/fantasyfootballers.
all right, that is it for today's episode. On the road here in Anaheim. Wish us luck. We got the Academy of Podcasters Awards tonight. That'll be exciting. And don't forget to check out playdraft.com/ballers.
I'm bringing 3 pairs of underpants tonight, fellas.
See you later.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.